Okay, so I'm going to just keep an eye out to see if I'm going to be adding anybody else on for this live Zoom. But today it's about curls, curls, curls. So for myself, I'm going to be aiming towards allowing stylists to have that knowledge when it comes to curls, whether it's through perming or naturally curly hair. And that way you could be a little bit more confident when you go to tackle your next client that has curls that are involved in the maximum results. And again, whether it happens to be from perming the hair all the way to just styling that naturally curly hair or permed hair. So hopefully it'll give you guys a little bit more of a comfort level. If you're not, perms really have not been around for a very long time. It took a very big break. A lot of stylists that I hear from haven't even really done any perms since beauty school because it was so big in the 80s and 90s, and it took a really large break. We have started to see that come back in the last year or two, where many people are getting different types of perms, and even the younger men or boys are getting the perms if they don't have that naturally curly hair. So again, it's my job today to aim towards your knowledge and your comfort level when you are approaching a client that has this curly need. Is anybody doing, if you want to take yourself off mute, is anybody doing perms right now, or are you seeing that increase in perms? Like I see everywhere, and obviously through any fashion, you see a lot more curls. Or anybody struggle with the curls or the think curl perm? No, everybody's going to be quiet, huh? So today I'm going to give you some suggestions on the Think Curl Perm, as well as a technique and a little bit of a video using Erica, the mannequin head. And we're going to dive deep into that Keep Curl line for maximum results when it comes to the curls. So you're going to see me go into a slideshow, and then we're going to have a video as well. But don't shy away from asking questions. So take yourself off of mute if you need to, okay? So again, we're going to be diving into the Think Curl. Perms will be the new thing that you're going to see a lot of if you're not quarantined right now. You probably already have in the last year and a half to 2 years. And then to go along with it, you want to maximize those results and know how to style them, know what products are out there to keep those maximum benefits for somebody with curly hair. So let's dive right into this slideshow, and then we're going to, like I said, go over some techniques, a little video on a technique. And then again, if you have any questions at all, feel free to take yourself off mute and let me know. Also, if you see anything you like, once again, any sheet that you like or anything that I talk about, just, come through and put it in chat if you can name your salon and your email, because again, it's hard for me to find emails, especially if it's not associated with a salon that we have on file. For example, if it's a stylist that actually works at that salon. So let's go over. I'm going to share this, this presentation with you. Okay. Actually, I'm going to go back here so it comes up bigger from my side. Okay, so Organic Color Systems has had the Think Curl Perm for many, many years. It's been out for a very, very long time, okay? And this is going to give you that idea when it comes to curly hair to build that foundation early, educate the clients on their curly hair while you're being educated yourself. Because, it's a different type of education when it comes to your clients as far as what they should be using and how they should be styling it compared to someone with, say, even just a slight wave or straight hair. All right, because remember, you could be doing the best perm possible, but without the right products for them to take home and the right education, they may not like their new found curly hair. Okay, so once a client, I hear this all the time, once a client finds a stylist that really understands curly hair, they will travel to see them. I have my sister who has, my whole family has that Italian curly hair, and she lives, in upstate New York, and I'm here in North Carolina, and she literally will wait as long as possible for me to come to visit, which has been excruciating this year because of COVID, because every time she goes and gets it cut, it just isn't somebody that understands understands curly hair. So there's so many different avenues, not only when it comes to cutting, but along with actually styling it as well. And then of course, if somebody has the straight hair, knowing certain techniques for that curly result that they're looking for. So build that foundation with the client, educate them along the way, you know, start with what they should be using with washing and conditioning, because they need to be using the right thing according to that wet stretch test for maximum results in curls. Use the right cocktail at the end. You know, show them that they may need to be using 1 or 2 or 3 different products for their curls, you know, and then end it with a bang by showing them, are they going to let it air dry? Do they need a diffuser? You know, different things like that. What is their schedule at home? How do they plan on, you know, a time frame to do, you know, as far as styling their hair, could allow you to elaborate on different things of product to use, as well as if they're going to be using a diffuser, letting it air dry. Educate the client, explain what you are using and why these products work for their curly hair. So don't just say, I'm putting this on your hair and putting this on your hair. Explain to why you are actually using those products and what it actually will do to maximize the benefits for their curls. And explain where each product goes. Are you doing a cocktail? Is there something for the roots and then something else for the mids and ends? Are you doing a layerable application with the control lines? Because we all know our control products as well as our keep curl products are used to be actually cocktailed together, or they're layerable. So give that instructions on where to apply these products and when to use each product. Because sometimes you may sit there and try and educate them on, please, you know, don't wash your hair every day. This is where that Revive shampoo can bring back those curls for you and give you that body. And sometimes we'll go into the Keep Curl line where we have that Keep Curl spray that when you wake up in the morning, you're able to actually, you know, just give your curls a little scrunch and go without actually having to, I have to let somebody in, without actually having to wash it all over again. And then how the products work, okay? And the biggest thing at the end, guys, is those prescription cards, okay? Do any of you guys actually have the prescription cards that are actually free with any of your orders? You know, they're at the bottom of your ordering list, and they're actually called prescription cards. And it gives an outline of every product. And in the back of it, it gives you a little bit of a tear off that you can mark off what you've used that day and the instructions behind it. So make sure you use those prescription cards to give that client, after you give them their new beautiful curly look, and what products you use that day to maximize their results. Okay, so again, this is just a tool Organic Color Systems has that is free to order. I think they come in packs of 25 or 50. And like I said, there's no cost to you for that. Okay, I'm just adding in a few more people here. Okay, so just again, you know, for curls, guys, just a quick review on the first page. Educate yourself and educate your client all the way through. Build that foundation, starting with washing their hair, what they should be using as far as the wet stretch test that is going to give them those beautiful curls that they're looking for. And like I said, educate that client on how to apply the product, what you're using on the product, why, okay? Because you can give them that best perm, like I mentioned in the beginning, but if they don't go home with the right products, or they don't know what to do with their new curls, you might have wasted your time, because they might come back and say, oh, I just don't like my newfound curls, because they don't know how to style it. So educate all the way through with that. Okay, for anybody that just popped on too, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to take yourself off of mute, okay? And let me know the question, and I'll be more than happy to answer it. But I'm going to be switching back and forth the whole time. So let's go over the Think Curl Perm, okay? So here we have the manual. If anybody does not have the manual for it, please let me know. Put the name of your salon and your email you would like me to send it to into the chat on the side, okay? That way I'm able to easily find your email. So this chat right over here, just put your email in there. Okay, so for our perm, we're going to go over that we have our actual lotion itself, our perm lotion. We have our neutralizer. Okay, the neutralizer will be closing down those cuticles and holding that perm in. And then what we actually have the activator, okay? So in other lines that you might have used their perms, a lot of times you'll go and you'll say, oh, this is for color treated hair, and you'll grab the box. Oh, this is for heavily bleached hair, and grab the box. This is for virgin hair, grab the box. And if you open each one of them, you have these bottles in there, and then you have a little shot. Well, that little shot is the activator. Organic Color Systems actually has the activator where you can customize it and add what you may need. Okay, so when you look at those traditional perms and you have those shots, they have enough of that shot to add to the solution. If it's color treated hair, if it's heavily bleached hair, you might not find any shot in there because of the porosity of the hair, or you may have a bigger shot if it's virgin hair because you need a little bit more activator into the perm solution for that virgin hair. Okay, same idea, but we actually, like I mentioned, sell it separately so you can customize it. So if you find a client that actually has 2 different platforms that you're starting with, and maybe you're doing a piggyback form or anything like that, you could start off at virgin roots and put that full ounce of activator into the perm solution, where the second rod or the piggyback rod, you may go over the top and only want a half an ounce of that activator because you're dealing with color treated hair or lightly highlighted hair. So instead of just having that box that you have that shot in and it's telling you what to use on the whole entire head, Organic Color Systems does it in a special way where you're actually able to customize the perm, where you have the activator in a full bottle. This full bottle could last you up to 10 to 12 perms. So it lasts quite a long time, okay? And then we actually have the deodorizer. We're gonna go a little bit deep into Organic Color Systems perms and the act of the deodorizer, but our perms don't have a smell, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. But it has a very subtle smell compared to traditional perms. I remember those used to last. I mean, especially if it was a salon in a mall. Oh, you would smell it down every single hallway of the mall if that salon did a perm. Ours has a much lower odor. But if someone still is very sensitive to even the slightest odor that the Think Curl perms have, there is the actual deodorizer that you add into the neutralizer at the end. And we'll go into a little bit more detail on that. But I just wanted to show you the bottles. Okay, we have eliminated the box, okay, because of the environment. Okay, so make sure you order everything individual, but now these we're going to save on the environment, and we're going to lower the amount of waste that we may have. Okay, so you do order those separately. So let's go back to that slideshow. Anybody have any questions so far? I know it's the very beginning. Okay, so don't forget to put your email on the side if you need anything from me. I have somebody in the waiting room. One moment. Okay. Okay, so now let's dive into the Think Curl Perm, which I just showed you what the bottles actually look like. Okay, and then that way, if you do have any questions, I know whoever just came on, let's see, Alexa, if you do have any questions, take yourself off of mute and I'll be happy to answer them, or put them in the chat here on the right-hand side. Okay, so let's go into the Think Curl Perm, okay? So I just showed you, like I mentioned, what the actual lotion, the neutralizer, and the activator look like, as well as the hair deodorizer. So what you might not know about the Think Curl Perm that you can even share with your clients is that there is a patent on it, which is wonderful, okay? This is a less aggressive perm than traditional perms, and I'll explain why in just a bit, okay? It is true to rod size, so keep that in mind. And the one benefit, actually 2 benefits, is it's thioglycolate free and ammonia free, okay, which is huge when it comes to perms itself, as far as the pH going a little bit too far, and as far as damage to the hair, as well as allergies. So again, this perm is ammonia free and thioglycolate free, okay. Do any of you even know what thioglycolate free or what it's responsible for? Okay. No, everybody's going to be quiet. All right, so thioglycolate is the ingredient that many perms have, because perms start at an acid perm, and to open up and to actually higher that pH to be able to go in and break the bonds, you know, we use something, or we don't, actually traditional boxes will have ammonia mixed with thioglycolate, okay? And this pH opens up and a higher pH, and you're able to break the bonds and you're able to form new curls, okay? But doing this mixed with ammonia and thioglycolate is damaging, okay? not only is it damaging, but the combination of these two is where you get that odor from. So if you ever were wondering with traditional perms, why on earth do they smell so bad? This is the combination of the ammonia and the thioglycolate that traditional perms have, okay? This combination makes that odor, as well as driving that pH a little bit too high, and that's where the damage comes in. So what does Organic Color System use in its place? Does anybody know? Probably says it on here anyway, right? We contain the cysteamine HCl, okay? So this is a less toxic way to actually go in there and break the bonds of the hair to form that new curl. It's a gentle ingredient that does not release actually those toxic smells that you do, because we're ammonia free and thioglycolate free, and that combination does it. We don't have the ammonia, and we have a less toxic waste to break down those those bonds, disulfate bonds. I think I need more coffee, for Organic Color Systems. So because of this cysteamine HCl on its own, with that less aggressive way, without ammonia, we have that less odor and we have less damage. So it is suitable for all types of hair when you're dealing with somebody that is trying to get some curl or get some body into their hairstyle, okay? So ammonia free, again, it is a plus, you know, being ammonia free, because it does not damage the hair mixed with that thioglycolate. And it's a very gentle ingredient using that cysteamine HCl. Does anybody have any questions? Nobody? Let me go back to here. Nothing in the chat. I know we're just at the beginning, but I want to make sure, because like I mentioned, perms have been out for quite a long time. And so people are going to, you know, start to have some questions if it's their first time, perhaps, that they're even, you know, doing a perm. So that cysteamine HCl makes a big difference when it comes to the health of the hair, and as far as doing a nice gentle perm with Think Curl Organic Color Systems. Okay, it keeps that gentle pH. So this is something that you can even educate your clients on. Okay, so going further, when we deal with a little bit that I touched on, is that hair deodorizer. Okay, so the hair deodorizer will actually go in and eliminate that very slight odor that we have left. So I spoke about how the perm has a decrease in odor because of the ammonia and because of the thioglycolate that traditional perms have. But, okay, like anything, there is a slight odor, and Think Curl Perm does have that slight odor, okay? So we do have this deodorizer, and you want to add this. Be sure to do this, guys. Add it to the neutralizer at the end, because when you're adding that perm solution and you're adding that activator, you're opening everything up. You're hiring that pH, you're going in there and you're breaking the disulfate bonds, forming that new curl, and the neutralizer is responsible for closing and holding everything in. It's in this action that you want to add that hair deodorizer, because it's holding in that new form, and this will reduce that lingering amount of smell in Think Curl Perms. Okay, so don't add it to the perm solution. Make sure you read those ingredients steadily for you, okay? So we do have that for anybody that might be a little bit sensitive. So again, the Think Curl Perm, we have the perm solution, we have the activator sold separately, the neutralizer, and we have the hair deodorizer. So what do you do when you go in there and you're doing a perm? Like I said, you're going in there and you're breaking those bonds, you're forming something a little bit different. So this is a little bit more aggressive than coloring the hair, okay? Because you are going in there and breaking the bonds. Think of it as an artist. If you've ever gone to one of those glass places where they melt the glass down, they add some color, and you walk out with this beautiful masterpiece of a bowl. They went in there and they changed the form of the glass. They broke those bonds down and they formed it into a nice new look of a bowl for you with some color, okay, that you're taking home now. It's a little bit similar, okay, just a little bit of an analogy, where that's what you're doing when you're going in there and changing the bonds of the hair. You're breaking those disulfate bonds, where you're changing it into a curl pattern for that client, okay? So perms will go in there and change those bonds, breaking those bonds, and keeping in mind that the perms, like I said, they go deeper into that cortex, okay, to break those bonds down. Okay, so you want to be sure that the hair is in optimal condition when you're doing that. And that cysteamine HCl actually is more gentle, it's less toxic. Okay, and while you're going in there, keeping that gentle pH while changing the bonds of the hair, this assists in doing it in a nice, healthy way. Okay, so again, you have that perm solution, you have the neutralizer, the activator, and the deodorizer. So let's go a little bit further here. So the Think Curl Activator, okay? Now, this activator, like I said, makes it special. We are special because of the activator, but you want to be sure you order it separately, because sometimes people will order the perm and the neutralizer and they forget that activator. It does come separately, and like I said, you can get about 10, maybe even 12 perms, depending on how much that you actually use. You'll be using anywhere from 0 for heavily highlighted hair to up to 30 milliliters into your perm solution when you're dealing with virgin hair. Okay, and the instructions are very clear, but again, it makes this a very nice way where you can customize the perm for that client. Okay. So instructions for the perm. So just like anything else, you want to keep the health of the hair intact when you're doing a perm. So your first step is you're clarifying that shampoo. Yes, it's clarifying. Do not use the charcoal shampoo. That is to be used with your color services. So please be sure to always use that clarifying shampoo for the perms, okay? You want to do that wet stretch test to determine the condition of the hair. Okay, so this will guide you all the way through the end of your perming service that you're doing. Okay, shampoo and treat the hair using the correct shampoo and treatment according to the wet stretch test for 15 minutes. Okay, so this is again putting that hair into its maximum condition, and able to, in return, you're able to do the service that that client is wanting and keeping that integrity of the hair intact. Okay, so for bleached and heavily highlighted hair, you want to use obviously that wet stretch test, and if it's frail or it's coiling, you want to use that revamp treatment before perming. Okay, so that way you're putting the maximum amount of protein back into the hair for it to be strong enough for the service. But when you're dealing with the Power Build revamp, again, you are not using any kind of thermal booster hat for 15 minutes. You're just doing it on its own. So for the mixing, when you're dealing with it, you got to go by that wet stretch test, and you're going by the condition of the hair. So for virgin hair, okay, virgin, resistant gray, good stretch and return, you want to put that 30 milliliters of Think Curl Activator into that perm. Okay, you want to use the maximum amount. So you're hiring that pH on that virgin hair, that resistant gray hair, for that good stretch and return. Okay, and 30 milliliters of that Think Curl Activator into that perm solution. Okay, you replace that little nozzle shake and you're applying. For fine hair or colored hair, you want to back down and use 15 milliliters to 20 milliliters of the Think Curl Activator into the perm solution. And again, a gentle shake beforehand. And for very weak, bleached, heavily highlighted hair, you know, it's stretching and not returning to its full. If it's not stretching at all, or stretching and returning at all, be sure to take into consideration that sometimes when they're coming in, and if they've been in a situation where they decided to bleach their own hair themselves, that hair is very compromised. It needs to be on a treatment regimen before you feel good about perming that hair, then please do so. Okay, but if you do feel that it's stretching and just not returning all the way, you're still able to do that perm, and you're not using any activator at all, okay, during this, because of the condition of the hair. So just keep that in mind. And like I mentioned, with this activator, you're able to customize that hair according to the root, to the mids, and to the ends, and what they need when it comes to an activator. Okay, so some tips: protect the ends, and you can spray Power Build Revamp as a spray for delicate hair. So if you do the wet stretch test and the hair's in pretty good condition, but the ends, you've done that treatment and it's stretching and it's returning, but just not all the way, and you feel like it needs a little bit more, you can use that Power Build Revamp as an addition where you want to do a very fine mist. So when it does say spray that Power Build Revamp onto the end paper beforehand, yes, but you want to do a fine mist. Don't oversaturate it, and you can use it as a pre-wrap. Okay. Pack a damp cotton wool sprayed with Soothe Plus treatment around the hairline in order to absorb excessive lotion. Okay. Not only do you want to do that, but you do want to protect around that face line, the ears, the nape, and like I said, especially the tips of the ear. You want to protect that from the perm solution, going on there and act like a protectant. Okay. Especially for clients that have that sensitive scalp. Okay, so keep that in mind that you want to use that Soothe Plus treatment. Before applying the Think Curl Perm, lightly spray the rods with Power Build Revamp to keep the hair wet. So once again, you could use it as a pre-wrap, okay? Use protective gloves and apply Think Curl Perm lotion to each rod, ensuring the hair is completely saturated. Now, you may have to use 1 or 2 or even 3 perming, depending on that length of the hair and depending how thick the hair is. So keep that in mind as well. Change that damp cotton. So once you actually apply it, if they're sitting there and it's oversaturated, change that damp cotton. Okay, you might find you're changing it 2 or 3 times. Keeping around that face line, the ears and the nape in good condition. Okay, so those are just some tips. Processing, okay, it's going to depend once again on the hair. So it will take about 20 to 30% more processing time when it comes to organic color systems, perms, okay. The test curl won't always be the shape of an S, but rather more of a U shape. So continuously make sure you're doing that test strand in the back of the head and the front of the head. If somebody has an awful lot of hair and it takes you a good amount of time to wrap their hair, you want to make sure that you thoroughly saturate it, wait the amount of time that's instructed, but then please make sure that you do every 3 to 5 minutes, you do that test curl looking for that U pattern. So once you put the perm solution on the head, you're going to cover it with a plastic cap and sit that client under the pre-dryer, set on medium with the thermal booster hat. We lean more towards being energy efficient, so we do lean more towards that thermal booster hat. For virgin hair, resistant hair, or good stretch, you want to process it for 10 minutes, okay? With heat, and then 10 minutes without heat. Now, without heat does not mean take the thermal booster hat off and take the plastic cap off. What it means is take the thermal booster hat off, keep that plastic cap on, and maybe even put a gentle towel on it because you're still entrapping that heat, but you're doing that slow process, okay? You don't want to just take that plastic cap off as well for 10 minutes, okay? Then test it every 5 minutes after that for 15 minutes, and that's for that virgin hair, that resistant gray hair, or good stretch and return. For heavily tinted hair, process it for 10 minutes with the heat and 5 to 15 minutes without the heat, and then taking that test curl every 5 minutes again. For weak, lightly bleached or heavily bleached, highlighted, stretching, and not fully returning hair, you want to process for 5 minutes with heat, and then you take it out and do a test curl. I like to do a test curl every 3 to 5 minutes when it's this type of situation, okay? Because anything can happen in 1 to 2 to 3 minutes, okay? And the developing time should not exceed 20 minutes for this. For hair that is really bleached and damaged hair, which we just talked about, you don't want to use any type of heat. You want to process it for 5 to 30 minutes, and after the first 5 minutes, just keep checking it. But if it's stretching and it's still coiling and they need to be on that regimen, I can't stress enough, please don't be afraid to turn them down and say, we really need to get you on a protein treatment before I'm comfortable, because I like to keep that integrity of your hair intact. So once you have done this processing time, you're going to rinse that hair thoroughly, okay? Rinse it very good. Make sure you get that back of the nape. Make sure you cup around the ear. Don't oversaturate them through their ears. And be sure to change that cotton if need be. Now the neutralizing, you know, it comes after the processing. So after processing is complete, you remove the cap, the cotton wool, and you rinse that hair, okay, with water as hot to warm as it could be for 10 to 15 minutes, guys. So you want to do a really thorough rinsing when it comes to those rods, okay? Thoroughly blotch each rod with a towel, the eco towel we have, which absorbs, and we'll go into more detail on it in a little bit, and really towel blot those rods, okay? Removing that cotton and replacing it again with clean cotton keeps that face frame and those ears and nape in place. And before applying the neutralizer, this is where you're actually going to add about 8 drops of that Think Curl hair deodorizer, okay? If the client wants to take that next step of removing even that slight odor that we do have in the Think Curl perms, okay? You want to apply 3/4 of the neutralizer using the bottle and the applicator, okay? Saturate each rod again, guys. Make sure that you get each rod good and leave it on for 5 minutes. Gently remove the rods and apply the remaining perming neutralizer and scrunch, guys. Keep scrunching it for 3 more minutes, okay? Rinse thoroughly with the hot water and be careful with this. Now, when I rinse, I scrunch and rinse, okay? Because the act of rinsing, you're still letting that hair go kind of straight. So I like to scrunch and rinse at this point. Apply that Soothe Plus treatment for those sensitive scalps and leave on for 5 minutes. And then you can apply the Keep Curl conditioner to close those cuticles down. Now, the big thing here, guys, is that the client should not be washing their hair for 72 hours, getting it wet, not wetting it down, nothing. They need to let it sit for 72 hours. And this is where sometimes that Revive dry shampoo is perfect, okay, because it can absorb any unwanted oils if the client tends to be a little bit on the oily side. Okay, so these are just the instructions when it comes to that Think Curl perm. I know this is a lot to take in, but again, if nobody has if anybody does not have the instructions for this, please again, put your email to the side because I could review this video after and I could see your email and I'll get those instructions right to you for the Think Curl perm. And we actually can use the Think Curl perm as a relaxer, but that's going to be in a few weeks. So be on the lookout for that for our live Zoom as well. Anybody have any questions so far? I know that's a lot to take in. It's very similar to traditional perms if you've actually done them, but it's a little bit different because like it mentioned, it does take a little bit longer of a time and you do leave that neutralizer on a little bit longer than traditional perms at that end, okay? So we do have the Keep Curl range that goes hand in hand with the Think Curl perm, okay? It's designed to work with it. So for people with naturally curly hair or people with permed hair, this is what you're gonna wanna use. Okay, thought I had, sorry about that, guys. Where do I have to say? If you want to just put your email right here, okay, in the chat right there. If you're uncomfortable with that, anybody can send their email to, I'm going to put mine in there. You can send it right to here. Okay, if you just send me an email, definitely you can do that and I will send you the instructions for this. Oh, perfect. I got that. And I'll be able to send you the instructions for it. And then of course, anybody that has any questions, they can feel free to ask even after this live Zoom. Yo, you're very welcome. Okay, so the Keep Curl range, we have our Keep Curl shampoo. Okay, so again, just like our other line, it is without sulfates and salt. So it does keep that integrity of the hair, doesn't dry it out. And we do have the natural hydrolyzed wheat protein and plant amino acids to keep the curls in optimal condition. Okay, so it is a very nice shampoo for the curls. And it also does have a gentle chamomile in there. Okay, especially for after the perms or anybody with that sensitive scalp. Again, it's 100% sulfate and solvate free, okay, which can remove protein. It can cause damage to the curls, and the curls may not last as long. So it is an excellent, excellent shampoo for that naturally curly hair or permed hair. Okay, so let's go on to the conditioner. So we do have the Keep conditioner. Again, we do have that hydrolyzed wheat protein in there, and that plant amino acids, has some organic oils, you know, to keep that shine of the hair that we absolutely love, such as a sunflower oil that is in the actual conditioner. It keeps it nice and healthy, glossy, glorious, like it says here in the instructions. Okay, so this is just something, again, that will close down those cuticle layers for the client, but it is great for that retail product to use the shampoo and the conditioner at home. Okay. I'm not missing any questions, right? I just saw one come through. Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm flipping back and forth. It's the only way that I can see that. So we have the Keep Curl treatment, okay? And this, again, is a powerful treatment that can be used during the perm, okay? To just give it extra bounce, or as a weekly treatment, okay? So it is geared a little bit more towards those curly hair clients, okay? And this is something, again, you want to use just once a week, okay, to increase the curl retention. It'll actually add some life into the curls, longevity into the curls. So this treatment, again, is an additive that they can be using to enhance their naturally curly hair or their newfound Think Curl Perm hair, okay? So again, it's the same. You're gonna use the Keep Curl shampoo. You're gonna rinse and towel dry, and you can spray this and massage it, and it does stay on for 15 minutes, okay? And that's without the thermal booster hat. And then you rinse it very well, and you close everything down with the Keep Curl conditioner. Alongside of this line, we do have a few other things. We have, I love the memory spray, okay? Love it for having naturally curly hair, okay? It's very lightweight, it's not sticky. This gives you that curl memory, that bounce back. And for people that don't wash their hair every day, like I just don't wash my hair every day. I can wake up with, when I leave my hair naturally curly, looking like literally Medusa, okay? My hair is all over the place. And I don't want to wash it just because of my curly hair. So I just spray a little bit of this spray in there, and sometimes I cocktail it with the actual memory gel as well. And I scrunch my curls back in place, and I'm ready to go. Okay, so it's just a beautiful, lightweight styling spray that I can't live without, especially since I don't wash my hair every day. And we do encourage clients, whether it's curly hair or anything else, to build up their natural oils and not wash their hair every day. So this specifically geared towards curly hair could give you that look back after a good night's rest. Okay, so it does go on after you do wash the hair as well, where it creates that curl still even after the washing, and it helps to reduce any kind of frizz in the hair. But like I said, it's very, very light. And again, its sidekick is the memory gel, okay? And sometimes I get up and when I'm looking like Medusa, I'll just put that gel in too, and I'll just scrunch it into my curls because it's so lightweight. It's not a very hard, stiff, by any means gel, so my curls have that flexibility to bounce right back into shape, which I completely love. And again, this is also to be used after you do wash your hair, that you put a little small amount of it into your hand, you emulsify it a little bit and scrunch it into your hair. Okay, so this is just diving into the Think Curl as well as the products behind it with the Keep Curl line, whether it's the shampoo and the conditioner, we have the treatment, and we have the spray gel, and we have the memory gel. All right, so let's go into a little video, but first I'm going to go back into here. And so back in the day, and I'm aging myself tremendously, back in the day, obviously in the early 90s and the 80s, you know, when we think of perms, you guys are probably like, no, you know, anybody that hasn't done one, because let me tell you, we used to use these an awful lot on our elderly client, and even yellow rods are smaller. And I think there's red. that is maybe even smaller than these. But these we just don't find as much anymore. Okay, so these were usually the typical ones of the early 80s. Okay, and going into the 90s, it was leaning a little bit more towards your older clients. But now, if you really investigate and you go to your beauty supply stores, you can get bigger size rods. I mean, some of them go up to 1 3/4 of an inch, where they're enormous, and they're excellent perm rods to give that body, because it's lifting it so far off of the root, where this is where the piggyback can go in. You can do that root at the same time as give it a little bit more wave towards the mids and the ends by using a different size rod. Okay, but they're not the rods of the 80s and 90s anymore, where you have a different type of selection. So have a very good supply when it comes to your perming and your perming tools and what rod size that you actually have. Okay, because it's very useful to have a good variety depending on what the client actually wants. And again, I'm going to have the Think Curl using it as a relaxer, and using it as a relaxer in a few weeks, you're going to see that I don't only just go in there with combing it through like you think of a relaxer, but relaxing the hair can sometimes mean people with really curly hair, you're using these bigger rods to relax their natural curl, but still leaving them a wave that they're looking for. Okay, so please investigate what type of rods are out there and have a good selection when it comes to your perming clients. Now, a lot of times, even now, you see the young boys, that are wanting that curly look, but they want more of the bigger rods. And it's not that perfect application where you're actually lining them up, or you're doing a tic-tac, or you're doing them sideways. They want it messy. They want them all over the place. They want some in this direction, some in this direction, some in this direction. And that's a big plus that you'll probably see a little bit more of as we're doing more videos when it comes to the Think Curl Perm. Okay, so let's go into this quick video. This is just one type of technique that I do like, especially because it helps with those lines that you may find with going through and giving somebody the curls that they're desiring. So let's go ahead and listen here. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so that is just a little video of something that I call bricklayering. It helps to eliminate some of those lines that you may see, because back in the day you used to make everything so perfect. And like I said, perm rods can go anywhere and anyhow nowadays, okay? Now, the biggest thing is don't forget your picks, okay? I don't know if you guys use it, but it's something that lifts those rubber bands. They're usually about 3 to 4 inches long, if you haven't seen them before, and they lift the rubber band off of the hair, okay? So be sure to make sure you invest in it. Back in the day, we used to use the little tiny thin coffee filters and reuse those, or coffee stirrers. So you could do more than just a couple rods. It holds them in place and it lifts those rubber bands off of the hair, especially with clients with finer, thinner hair. You don't want any pressure from that rubber band, okay? Use that protected around the face line like we discussed, the nape, okay, and those delicate top of the ears, okay? And that's where that Soothe Plus comes in. Follow behind by your cotton, like we said, and change that cotton often. And together, these two can not only protect those sensitive areas, but will also trap any of that perm solution from dripping. Okay, so do we have any? No, okay. So from that video, that's what I actually do, the brick patterning, like I said, but there's so many different avenues you could go, but this is just one of the techniques that I use. Because like I said, back in the day, it was like you take the back of the head and you have a rod, and then, you know, you have a straight line here and this and that. And now it seems the messier those perm rods are in, even messier than what I just showed you, the more in style that it is. But we're going to go over not only the rod size that takes into a part, but also your partings and how you're directing the comb, and how you're rolling it, the direction of the hair while you're rolling it. And we'll go through that in just a little bit. But as far as, you know, what you saw in that actual video, we have, you know, a lot of times some helpful tips, and folding these ahead of time is a helpful tip. So the last thing you want to be doing is having that hair and then you're trying to fold it around that hair with your one hand when they're actually folded ahead of time. Okay, it works super, super well. You always want that hair saturated like you saw with mine. And sometimes with hair that's super long, you might use 2 end papers on top. So you might actually comb that hair. I'm trying to separate these. Another helpful tip, have them separated ahead of time, and it definitely saves you time, not only folding, but separating them. But sometimes you're going to overlap just 2 papers on the hair if it's super long and has some good texturing at the bottom of the hair. And then we're going to go into a few more tips when I look at this, the mannequin head for you, okay? But that's just one of the many techniques. Now, when you're going into, let me grab Erica here for a moment. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So when you're going into it, I'm going to show you a little bit more detail of what you're seeing with Erica, where if you can actually see these partings in the front of the head, this rod, here's the actual sectioning right here and right here. And this rod is actually being rolled further, bringing the hair towards maybe a thinning area. And we're going to show you some details on that. This particular rod, we're bringing the hair straight up and we're actually rolling it right in between the 2 sectionings. Okay, where here this hair is bringing this way and we're rolling it so the hair is flowing towards the front of the hair, because most of the time a thinning client is worried about the crown of their hair. Where this here, which you saw in my video, we're actually bringing it back. So the sectioning came back and we rolled it and it's sitting off of the 2 partings that you do see, okay? So it's not only the size of the rod that you're dealing with, but it's also your parting and how you roll it and the direction of the hair, whether you're actually bringing it, which you'll see in just a second. When you want more body to be brought to the front of the hair, you're going to be actually putting the end paper here and rolling it more in this direction, because that's bringing this to land forward, bringing that hair towards that finer, thinner hair. For somebody that you want a lot more volume, you want that root to really wrap around and not pull forward and wrap around, they have a good amount of hair, you're going to be actually bringing that hair straight up, and when you roll it down, it's going to sit right in between your 2 partings. If you're wanting to bring it back in certain areas or the entire head, you're actually going to be doing that parting, and you're going to be bringing it back, because when you roll that rod, you're going to see here that this is off of the 2 partings, bringing it a little bit back. Okay. That's going to be a new, discussion for you and the client, what they're looking for in their curls and what they have going on in their hair. You may find that you may be doing different directions with the perm rods in certain areas of the head. Say, for instance, the back of the head. Like if you really look at Erica close up, I don't know if you can see it, but she's got a pretty bad colic right about right here, which a lot of people do. They might have that little swirl. They might have a straight line right here. So if you're perming and you're wrapping and you actually make that perm sectioning right here at that colic, you're enhancing that line for that. So if you do see a strong colic, change the direction of the perm, or make sure you're parting it further away from that colic where the rod lands at that colic area. So that way you're not enhancing that colic area for them. So for sometimes we have you usually find that this with really resistant white hair, you're rolling this and you're rolling this in the front here, and you might see like not even a half an inch of a hair just sticking straight out of white hair. It could be new growth, from hormonal changes, it could be anything, but it's sticking straight out, and you can't really get an end paper on it quite yet because it's sticking straight out. That's when you go in there with your perm solution and you apply that perm solution to that pesky little white hair, and you use your rat tail and you kind of get it to submit down. You just get it to submit, and it's going to soften it, and it's going to start to sit for you. And then once it sits for you, what I like to do is I like to actually just go in there and put that paper right over the top and put a little bit of perm solution on there and give it a pinch so it stays in place for you. Okay, so just some helpful tips. Now, what you saw in the video too is while you're rolling, if you start to see little ends from layering, start to stand up, put another end paper in there, wrap that end paper along the side of the perm so you don't end up with any fish hooks that sometimes we do see with the perms, okay? Or any kind of uneven curl in a layering effect, okay? So let's go over to some pictures of what I actually just talked about. Okay, so again, this is the perm, the brick layering that I do call it. And this is just the step-by-step. So we did the brick layering effect, okay? And our wrapping technique, that's what I like to call it, just so we're kind of breaking up those lines a little bit. When you're rinsing, even, with the perm rods in there, do a thorough rinsing for that 10-15 minutes. And then what you want to do is you want to scrunch all the way through. So scrunch through that rinsing process when the rods are out. Scrunch through that rinsing process with that neutralizer at the end. Don't just let it fall perfectly straight. It's good to scrunch that up, keeping that curl motion in place, okay? And then here we just use that curl line, for them to take home, the shampoo, the conditioner, and the memory spray, okay? The Keep Curl Memory Spray and Memory Gel will just enhance those curls for you. And let me just go back here in case we have a question. Would you please be able to demonstrate how you would roll the hair when it is heavily layered? Let me see here. Now, Erica isn't really super heavily layered. And I do have some pictures that'll point this out. But let's see what I can do here with still being in your view. I'm doing the best I can put on the spot here. I have a water bottle. So when they do have any kind of texturizing or any kind of layering, you're going to most likely use a couple end papers, because you don't just want to roll halfway and you see those layerings or that texturizing coming through and you're just going to roll it right into there, because that could roll into the wrong direction for them. So let me just see if I can do this way. She's pretty dry right now. So we might have to pretend just a little bit, because she pretty much has good hair. So if you go through and you're saying, okay, she's got a lot of layering, which is going to be most of the time, I always like to spray that end paper. Again, have those end papers folded, have them separated for you, and you go in and you start to roll. Okay, and say right here, you start seeing those little wispies. And I got a picture in just a few slides of what that actually looks like. And you see the layers start to pop up. Just use another end paper, okay? And you can even spray it down so it just kind of submits to you, those little layers. Sometimes you have to roll it back in like that, give it a little rock, and you go through here and say, oh, I gave her texturizing over and through here. Don't be shy. Use another end paper. They're thin, and that perm solution is going to go right through them. And you just give it that little paper and you go through and you put it through there. Okay. Did that help a little bit for you to understand as far as when you're dealing with anybody that has more of those layering effects?
Hi there. Thank you so much.
That did help?
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Yeah, you always have to use it. And you know, back in the day in New York, I had, I'm aging myself, because man, I got my license in 1990, so I did a lot of perms in my time. And I had regulars, so they would separate the papers for me and they would hand them to me. I had them on a ritual every time they had to get a perm done. But if they're not going to do that for you, make sure they're folded, make sure that they're separated, because that saves you so much time when you're doing a perm. And then make sure you use multiple perms, because you don't want to all of a sudden, you don't know how fast you're rolling and you have a layer or a texture in there, and it all of a sudden just the tips of it go this way on the perm, but the rest of it rolls, and you're going to end up with we call it here a fish hook. I'm not sure if everybody calls it that. Yeah. Or if you roll it and you don't put all the paper in and you start rolling this can end up looking like a fish hook as well. So, don't be afraid to use more than one end paper for it to actually submit. And same with that pesky little white hair that usually is around the face frame, I used to find, and still do. But, get it to submit, because the moment you put that perm solution on, it starts to soften, it starts to sit, and then you just get it to go where it wants around that rod, and then put that paper over it to hold it in place for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so this is what I was just talking about, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a visual on that. So where your actual perm rods land according to your partings will affect the result of the pattern of your curl. So when this first picture, you see me bringing it all the way back like I showed you. So it's sitting back. You see the partings here and here, it's sitting back. Okay, we're bringing that curl form back. Okay, and remember, once you get a good section of the perm rods into place, lift that band off of the hair. Okay, do you guys have those picks? We always call them picks, but again, sometimes coffee stirrers or anything to lift that rubber band off of the perm or off of the hair, so it's not so tight on that hair. So in the second picture here, I'm going straight up like I demonstrated, okay? And you're gonna see it's gonna land right here. You're gonna get a lot of volume right here, okay? Because you could see it's gonna take the full width of that perm rod for you, okay? So up here, again, it's that slight angle going back, bringing the hair back, okay? And then here, you're actually landing right in between, giving a little bit more volume for that root area, okay? Now, like I said, be mindful of those colics. Don't make that, say that's her colic right there. Don't put a parting right here, okay? and roll that roller, because that's going to really enhance that colic for her in the back of the head. Sometimes people have it in other areas, like in the bangs, you know, and a perm is an excellent, excellent way to hide those colics when it is rolled correctly. Okay. So we're going to go back here. Okay, so here we're looking at the finer hair, what I was just talking about, where you're wanting to roll it off the base, but going forward. Because if somebody is finer and thinner in the front of the hair, you want to bring as much hair to the front. I don't know if anybody still does those roller sets, but it's the same idea with roller sets. You want to get the most volume to the front of that head. And this is the way that you do it. You're rolling it to the front of the head. And again, there's a perfect example where Erica did have some spots where you see I started rolling it. And this is what I mean. If you start looking at some layering, use another end paper. Make sure that these don't go, because if you just start rolling this little piece could go to the side and then the rest of it starts to roll like it. But that's going to be noticeable in a curl form. So use that end paper to get it to go in the right direction and start rolling it again. And you'll see that it sits nice into that roll form that you're looking at. And then again, I'm bringing it to the front of the head where all of this is going to give her more of that volume and body for that thinning hair that she may have, okay, for that perm. So it's sitting off of the base, moving forward. So these are just 3 types of the actual ways that not only the size of the rod you need to take into consideration, but how you actually roll the hair. And again, when you're bringing this back, you're going to bring the hair, you're going to bring that curl pattern to the back of the head. When you're bringing it straight forward, they've got a good amount of hair. You're going to bring some more volume to that root area and a nice perm in that direction. And then when you're dealing with finer, thinner hair, you're bringing that forward. So that way the rod is landing forward from that parting. Don't forget to use that second end paper. I can't stress that enough, to put down any layers that are down after you start rolling. And then see how that's sitting at the front of the head. So the pattern matters, the size of the rod matters, and where the placement, where the rod actually lands matters. Okay, and this is just a vertical brick layering. You know, you could add so much direction to this. Where I just took those, I used a bigger size rod because I wanted more of that body form, and did that brick layering. So that way it was a little bit messier in the parting sections for it. Okay, I'm just going to go back over here if anybody has any questions. Nobody has any questions? Okay, we've had some excellent questions so far. Do you guys use the ones that do perms? Do you guys have the picks to lift the rubber bands off of the head? And I only mention this because this is just as important. And I wish, you know, I don't want to advertise a certain brand because I'm dealing with just organic color systems, but basically the pick goes in there and it'll lift the rubber band, because the last thing you want to do is say, oh wow, well I've got her right here, the rubber band's not really landing where it should, so my perm rod is falling forward, so I'm going to take this rod, I'm going to change the direction, and I'm going to twist this so it stays. So many people do that, where they twist it and say, oh, the rubber band's down here now, it's going to hold that perm rod right in place for me. And then what happens is it's putting that tension on that hair, especially at that root area for that client. And especially anybody with finer, thinner hair doesn't want this. Okay. So, you know, you just go through, you start rolling, you have your picks on the side. And while you're rolling, you go through and your picks, I tend to, you know, back in the day, like I said, we used the coffee stores because they were like this big and you can use more rods. The picks are only about this big that I have found. They may have increased in size through the years, but you're actually just using that pick where you're going through, you're lifting that rubber band in each section, and it's sitting there and it's still sitting where it needs to be. I know it's hard because I'm using my comb, but you're lifting that rubber band off for any tension that it may cause and any damage that it may cause for breakage for that perm. Janelle, yeah. Hi, Janelle. Eunice, yes, the picks are, they're a must, in my opinion. They're a complete must when it comes to the perming, because this is what happens. And people will say, I had breakage, you know, a couple inches, you know, not even an inch past the root. And most likely they did this and they did this and they said, oh, perm rod is staying now, I'm putting the solution on. And that tension, if you feel that tension, it is super tight on that hair right now. And you just don't want to do that when you're going in there and you're breaking those bonds and you're changing the form of the hair. Okay, especially when you're increasing, you know, for that. She's trying to log in and she can't. She may have to, Janelle, she may have to contact customer service. I can't get her in from my angle or from my direction. And see if she could actually contact them and see if they can maybe resend it. She just has to basically click on the link and then she should be in the waiting room, but she's not in the waiting room to let her in. And in worst case scenario, this is being taped and I could always send it to her in a couple days once it's uploaded. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so start at the beginning again, okay? Get those perfect curls and prevent frizz with starting with the proper wet stretch test, which will lead you to what shampoo and conditioner that they should be using, okay? If they have a good stretch and return, you know you could go with the status quo. If they have where they're lacking that protein, okay, you're going to want to go with that Power Build line. If they have that resistant gray hair and it's barely stretching for you, okay, unlike with the Power Build, it's stretching and not returning all the way, and you have that Aqua Boost where it's not stretching, you want to keep it on that. So people will ask all the time, well, what do I use, that or do I use the Keep Curl line? If their hair is deprived of protein, you want to get them on a regimen, okay? You want to get them on a regimen of still using that protein, okay? Whether it's the shampoo, conditioner, and the treatment, and then, using that a few times a week to get their protein levels up, but at the same time, they can be using the Keep Curl on the opposite days as well, okay? And that's if they are really lacking that protein and they still need to keep those treatments into place for that. So start them off on the right path. While I just had to check on that, I thought I had a question. Start them on the right path, starting with that wet stretch test. Do they need any type of treatments during all of this and a shampoo and conditioner to build up their moisture levels or build up their protein levels? And they can actually use the Keep Curl line alongside of that. Okay. Now, if they're perfectly healthy, they could go with that status quo and the Keep Curl line, or they can go with just the Keep Curl line at that point. Okay, if it's stretching and returning. Okay, so again, that wet stretch test is that key for you guys to actually show your client that wet stretch test, show them what's going on and why you're recommending this. Okay, in addition to OCS has the Keep Curl line for the shower, okay, that we talked about, the Keep Curl shampoo and the conditioner, and to add to your regimen for the naturally curl and permed curls, okay? So just like we said, if they're lacking something, you still want them to increase their moisture and protein levels, okay? Educate the client that it is beneficial not to wash your hair every day, okay? Because it really isn't, unless they're super oily. But it is good for them to build their own oils up. Okay, they can refresh the curls on their days off. Like I said, I use the Keep Curl Memory Curl. I use the Keep Curl Memory Spray side by side. I spray it down with the memory spray, and then I go in there with the gel and scrunch and go, and it's very light, very, very light feeling. The Revive Dry Shampoo, okay, that could give it that absorbing of oil if they do have extra oily hair and they want to not wash their hair every day, especially getting them through that first 72 hours after they get a perm that they have to wait to wash it or wet it down. And then another option is the Aqua Boost leave-in or the Status Quo leave-in, where you can scrunch your curls and go. Okay, so using the right cocktail is going to be important. So the first step is after you've done the wash, the treatment, and the conditioner, okay, you want to remove the excess of water, okay? So you could use the Eco Towels that are 100% natural that Organic Color Systems does sell. They're biodegradable and environmentally friendly. It holds up to 6 to 7 of their actual weight. So you can scrunch that water weight out of their hair, okay? Prep those curls for styling, okay? The Keep Curl Memory Spray is for prepping those curls, okay? The Aqua Boost leave-in, you're prepping those curls. Status Quo leave-in, okay? It's almost like you're painting a wall. So this acts like the primer. You're priming those curls ahead of time, okay? Ready to take on whether you want a nice soft hold, a little bit of a hold, a nice firm hold on top of that and ready for that shine. And then you could go over the top using those styling products of the Keep Curl Memory Gel, the Keep Curl Memory Spray, you could use a little bit more of, okay? The Revive, like I said, or any of the control lines. So you can mix anything. I mean, you can go in there and say, I'm going to prep my curls. I woke up in the morning, I'm going to prep them. I'm going to spray it with the Keep Curl Memory Spray. Okay. I'm going to spray it down. I look a little bit like all over the place. My curls, my hair, I just woke up. I'm going to spray it with the memory spray, scrunch it into place. And now I actually prepped it. I prepped it, my canvas. Okay. I primed it. And now I'm going to go in there, and for today, I want a little bit more of a hold. I want a slight crunch. So I'm going to go in there with the Aqua Boost, okay, leave-in conditioner and a little bit of shape. I'm going to emulsify them together and scrunch them into my hair. So from once you actually prime it, you can go in there with whatever you want, okay? You might want to go in there with just the memory gel because you don't want any kind of crunch, or even the Aqua Boost leave-in conditioner because you don't want any crunch to your hair. Okay, so you just want to make sure you use the right cocktail for that client and educate them on what you're using in their hair. So styling products, you want to do even distribution. Emulsify that in your hair, your hands ahead of time, and then go through it. A lot of times I'll emulsify it and put it through my fingers because this is my pick. This is my scrunching tool, you know, and don't just put it in the palm of your hand because you're going to end up with a glop here and a glop there. Emulsify it from your hand to your tips and in between your fingers and scrunch like this because you're going to get it an even distribution that way, okay? For you to be able to have that maximum result for that client, okay? Any cocktail is layerable, or you can cocktail them together, like I mentioned with the Aqua Boost and a little bit of shape, and you emulsify them together, okay? And they're water soluble, so they rinse right out of your hair. So an example, I may go in and use the Aqua Boost leave-in to prime my curls today. I like to switch around. Prime my curls with the Aqua Boost. So I go in there and I scrunch it into my hair a little bit. And then I'm going to use the Keep Curl Memory Gel just for a softer curl hold. Okay. And then I'm going to go. And it's not going to leave any crunch into my hair, but it's going to be a defrizzer. You're not going to end up, if you're in humid weather, you're not going to end up out to here because it actually controls those curls. It maximizes those curls. But if you want to take that memory gel or the Aqua Boost, you could add a little bit of shape for a little bit of hold, or a little bit of glaze for a medium hold. And then you do have a little bit of that crunch into your hair, okay? I love to let my hair air dry, but you can diffuse the hair. A lot of people will have the client tip upside down and they get the maximum body, they scrunch it upside down. Some of them have them lean back in the chair, their head in the back of the chair and their hair is drooping down in the chair and they scrunch those curls up. So the technique in using the diffuser could matter in the outcome of the client, and they can go home and do that same exact tactic to their hair. I personally switch it to one side, I scrunch it all the way through, switch it to the other side and go. I don't, very rarely, I can't tell you the last time I've actually used a blow dryer on my straight or curly hair. And you want to refresh during washings with that Revive, you know, or that Keep Curl Memory Spray. Okay, so remember, a big head of curls, you want to start at that root. You know, you want to work your way through. If they have that finer or thinner hair, you want to use some volume up and through here and then go through and style it with, say, that memory gel. So educate your client on what they have, their new curls, what type of hair they have that'll maximize their curls with the product choice that you're going to be using for that day. Okay. And then, you know, if they look good, you look good, obviously. So educate, 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 and end with a bang. Educate them all through the time. Okay. Curls, I find less is better. Stop touching it. Let it go. Where it lands, it lands. My curls will never look good or never look the same twice. Okay. It just doesn't happen. You know, I'll be like, oh, that's a fantastic look today. And then I'll try and repeat it the next day. And the more you try, the less it looks like that. So the less that you touch it, the better off you are with curls, because they have a mind of their own and they want to expose themselves for that pure, beautiful, natural curl, whether it's through a perm or not, that maximizes curl effect that they have in their hair. So air dry is good, but use that diffuser on low, okay? And remember, the curly hair client still is that walking, talking business card. So they're going to really, you know, this day and age, whether it's on the internet, somehow by Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or anything, they are your walking, talking, you know, business card. the more they understand how to take care of their curls, the better off you are. So again, they have to go home and they have to duplicate what you have done to their hair. If they can't, they're going to get frustrated. Sometimes clients don't want to wait that 72 hours. And the worst thing they can do is wet it down. And the worst thing that they could do is wash it, because it's not going to relax the curls like they think it's going to, or it's not going to bounce back like it did the day of it, because that neutralizer needs 72 hours to put that new home back into their cortex and cuticle layers. That new curly look, it takes 72 hours to unpack, you know, and get everything into place where it needs to be. So they don't want to wash it and they don't want to wet it down before that 72-hour period. Okay, so I know that was a lot to go on, and it was a lot of information. I hope I gave you some good, you know, techniques to think about when it comes to the brick layering or the position of the partings and where you want that rod to actually land. Again, be mindful of those cowlicks. I can't say that enough. Make sure that you perm according to their part. If they have a messy part and they never have the same place, you know, all the time, then that's great. You want to perm in that direction. But if it's somebody like me that I always have the same part, you don't want to necessarily put the perm rods perfectly like that. You may want to actually do them like this or do a messy look like this, but keeping their part in mind, where you are not going to make it more challenging for them to find their part. If they have a colic, like I said, if they have a really deep straight line colic, don't do the parting right there at their colic. You know, sometimes you can split it in half if it's not a big one and make the rod land in between their colic, which will hide it. But if it's a pretty good sized colic, there's nothing wrong with, even though you're rolling this way, to kind of slant them here. Okay, because it's only going to hide that colic, and it's only going to be beneficial that you didn't enhance something that they don't like already. So just some key tips, you know, when it comes to wrapping for your perms. You've got your Think Curl, you know, like I said, that's a more gentle perm, okay, because we have that systemide HCl and we are ammonia free and thioglycolate free. So together with that combination that traditional perms have, you get that odor and you get that pH that goes quite a bit higher, and that's where the damage occurs. Okay, and this is why we are ammonia free. This is why it takes a little bit longer for the perm to be on your head. Okay, because of that action of ammonia obviously blows up cuticles where we don't have it in there. We're doing it in a natural way by washing the hair and using the Think Curl perm to open it with that pH of where we want it to be instead of going too far. And then with the Think Curl perm, we have that activator that comes completely separately. So you can actually go in there and maximize the results of how much activator do you need in certain areas of the head. And again, I gave this example for anybody that chimed in late. I gave the example of, I don't know if they still call it piggyback. That's what I've always called it, or around the world, they might do it differently. But for anybody that doesn't know what that is, it's when you actually take a rod. I think this is a drive. I'm doing the best I can without actually planning this. This is an add-on for you guys. That's when you're actually taking a rod that you already have. And you might be actually this is a messy version, so be kind. You might be just taking this, and piggyback for me, I'm not sure if there's another name or you have it in different countries. Piggyback to me is you take that around, you go through here, you have that first section. You always want to bring this out and not put the rubber band over that. You put this on, and then you're free. And say right here is virgin, and you want to add 30 ounces of the activator because it's resistant hair. But here you have some old balayage on there, so it's a little bit gentle, so you only want to add a ½ ounce of activator. You're able to do it in this form where you're able to go through here. You can go with another actual turquoise rod if you want to, but from here you can actually go in and you can say, you know what, I want to give him a little bit more of body. I'm going to go with a blue rod. No, I'm kidding. That would be awful. Can you imagine going with such a small one? And then you go in, you still use that end paper. And again, this is spur of the moment, so it's not perfect by any means. And you go in and you piggyback, and here you're going to be adding that ½ ounce, and they're sitting on top. And this is where that whole piggyback came from. Okay. Now, piggyback was just meant for, if you, back in the day anyway, if you wanted to give 2 different curl formations, which is great. That's what it still is for. But this also will give you that creative side of the activator where you're able to customize the perm for different areas of the head. Okay. So that's where this activator that's sold separately is such a plus. It gives you the opportunity to just expand your knowledge and expand what you can offer to your perm clients, rather than the traditional perms that give you that shot already in the box and you don't have any other options, basically, because they're telling you this is what you need to use for the whole entire head. Okay. So you just cut the formula. Exactly. Or if you just know you got, like for me, there's no way one perm is going to last on my, is going to take my whole entire hair. My hair is way too long and I need a haircut. You might know you're going to use 2 perms. So you're going to customize the one perm to be this way and the other perm to be that way. But here, what I like to recommend is anytime you have this, recycle, reuse. If you've used this on a perm, just save these bottles, because if you do have to customize, you already have a bottle that you can use where you can split the formula in half. We ordered the spray for after and it was almost empty. Is that normal? What spray are you talking about? The Soothe Plus? We ordered the spray for the perms. Are you talking about the treatment? The treatment. From what I understand, the UK, the smallest bottles that they have is this. I can tell you that mine's a brand new, and because this isn't the size that they actually give you, I can say that it's not almost empty. I would probably call the UK and just ask them how filled this should be. I'm trying to see what mine is actually filled because it is a brand new bottle. But I would say mine is going right about up to here. So I would probably call them and just ask that if this got untwisted or through delivery or anything, did anything get evaporated or did anything, spill or anything? So I would give headquarters a call and just let them know how much is actually in that bottle, okay? Okay, I'll let them know today too, and I'll ask them as well, okay? This is Janelle, right? Yeah, let me look up here. I gotta move this. Yep, it's Janelle. Okay, perfect. I'll once I get off of here, I'll inquire about that as well. Let me just write it down here. Okay. Perfect. So again, I know that's a lot that we went over. This will be videotaped, and I'll also be doing another one of these. It's going to be basically the same, but it's going to be 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it'll be a little bit different time zone for whether you're in the UK or any other countries. But that's in about 3 weeks, I believe. But be in the lookout too, because I'm going to be doing the Think Curl Perm and using it as a relaxer. I will be using Erica the Mannequin Head because it does make an excellent relaxer as well. And some tips on how you are able to relax the hair. And again, relaxing the hair is going to be whether you're combing it through like your traditional relaxers, or if you're relaxing somebody that's extra kinky where you're using big rods because you're changing that form to relax that curly hair to give them that maybe beachy wave that they're looking for. Okay. Does anybody have any questions, or do you really feel like you got a lot out of this today for perms, especially since perms haven't been around in such a long time? Everybody's so quiet, except for in chat. If you do, if you come up with ask to answer. No. Let me see here. I got all the questions, right? I just want to be sure, guys. Sorry. Did I skip anybody's questions on here? Perfect. I see that I got your emails. So I'll send anybody that needs the instructions to be sent to them after this for the perm. Just leave your email in the chat, and I'll be sure to get those out to you as well. But does anybody have any questions? and hopefully you feel more confident and have a little bit more of a grip. We're going to have more when it comes to organic color systems with the perms in the next few months, probably looking at into March and April, where there's going to be even more techniques. You know, I have amazing mentors that are going to start doing some videos at that point. And, you know, one of them, like I know for last year, Sarah OCS from Arizona, she did a wonderful one. I believe it was her brother, because the curls are so in when it comes to the boys or the men. And, you know, her perm rods were, you know, 2 different sizes, but they were, you know, all over. She was using her creativeness that he didn't want a direct form all the way around his head. He wanted that messy look. So it's okay that you don't have those straight, perfect partings. It's okay that it's messy and one's going this way and one's going this way and one's going this way and this way. So it's a really creative avenue now when it comes to the perming industry for the beauty industry here. So
as far as the perm rods that you're using, you know, I mean, they always have like the classic type, but the organic color system doesn't sell a perm rod just yet, or they don't manufacture it.
they don't make manufacturing the perm rods quite yet.
And then if that's the case, is there one that they would recommend? I mean, because we still use the old-fashioned one, and I just saw you use a larger one that I've never seen before.
Yeah. I actually found these at Cosmo Pro. Do you have those?
No.
You don't have Cosmo Pro. I wonder what you guys have. What do you have? Loefflers? No? Sally's?
Yeah, we have a Sally's, but they have the original, just the stick ones.
They might have them. You know what? I'll look into that, because I've even seen these on Amazon, and they're huge and they're awesome. They are awesome.
Yeah,
it's
they
no
look nice.
longer the small
Yeah,
little, oh, I feel bad for you. I mean, I remember doing these, and it's like, talk about using 10 end papers for one wrap sometimes, because you would have so many layers, and this is so small that it would be like ding, ding, ding. And it was, you know, I mean, and some still ask for them for being this or the yellow or the red. The whites were always really common, but even now, you know, you're going more into where they want to see it more into the bigger sizes. So I will,
sure.
I'll send you the link, or anybody that might want the link of where you can find these. But the better variety, the better off you are. I can assure you that a lot of the boys want the bigger rods, even if it's a black rod that's still about 1.25 inches. Or this is 1 inch, I'm sorry, or going even into 1.25 inches, and they go up to 1 3/4 inches.
Awesome.
I got one question here. Thank you so much for hosting. I really enjoyed it. Oh. Yes, I can, Candace. I can definitely send you an email. And you put your email up here, didn't you? I thought I saw that. Yep, I got your email here, Candace. I'll send you an email as well. And then if, you know, tell Jessica hello. Oh my goodness, she's awesome. I love Jessica. So we have Canada in the house. I know that. But yeah, if anybody needs anything or they want these instructions, don't forget, if you haven't put your email on there. Yeah, she is amazing. She's completely amazing, Jessica. Let me know. And if you do have any questions, even while you've got a client coming in, and listen, it's a young guy and he wants this, and this, you know, I can give you some tips, because you know, that's what I'm there for when it comes to using the Think Curl perm. But it's super easy. It's just like any perm that you may have done. But what I'm finding in a very large amount is that once the year 2000 came, or going even closer to 2010, and we're into 2021 now, the only time they ever did a perm was in hairdressing school, because nobody just really got perms. So there were so many people that called and said, listen, I never did a perm in my life, you know, in my salon. So this is why it's going to be so important that we're going to keep producing different techniques and different ways when doing the perms. But if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to contact me. My email's in there. I'm on Facebook, Jeanine OCS. You know, so definitely contact me if you guys have any questions at all. All right. Does anybody have any right now? No? Okay, this will be on video in a few days through the YouTube channel. If you don't have the private YouTube link, let me know as well, and I can send you that link. We're going to be adding onto it through the year because of Corona, because of what's going on, and we don't know when it's going to be safe for us to travel. Every state is different, so it's so hard for us to say, yeah, we're going to be doing workshops because the rules are different in every single state around the United States. Where they're more strict in New York, where they're wide open in Florida, where I just found out they're wide open in Arizona, where they're pretty strict in California. So we're not going to be doing workshops for a little while longer. So this is going to be our avenue. We're adding our mentors into the program, and they're going to be doing a lot of fascinating things. They're working on it right now as far as videos for you guys to see when it comes to techniques. So be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, guys, don't hesitate to let me know, okay? All right, if you don't have any questions, I'll let you guys go, but you know how to reach me. All right, you guys have a wonderful week ahead. Don't forget, we're going to be doing Think Curl as a relaxer in a few weeks, and we'll see you next week on live Zoom. All right, guys. You're welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Have a good day.
Bye, thank you.
You too. Bye.
Bye, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.